What's
Catch
up,
Kings.
Brooklyn? What's good? Super
Wow.
Bowl, man.
I know.
What a game, man.
That was a great game.
What a game. Philly did that shit, man.
I know. And we could talk about Philly's reaction also, but I'm talking about the fans. But the game itself was great. I mean, from start to finish.
No defense, but offensively, man, those boys put on the show, man.
Yeah, it was like a running gun basketball, game. Just offense all up and down the field. There was only one punt the whole game. That's crazy for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it came down to, even though no defense could stop anybody, one big defensive play changed the whole game, man. And Philly made the play when it counted, man.
I know. Nick Foles.
Hey, he did what he had to do to win.
Right. A lot of people stepped up. Alshon Jeffries, the coach, he called like an excellent offensive game. He kept them on their toes.
He was there to win the game. He was there to win the game. He went for it on fourth down twice, man. And that was a big drive, man. That was the drive. The Patriots had just went up by 1 point. And that was that very next drive. He went for it twice on fourth down, and I think that changed the whole momentum.
Changed the whole. We talked about that before with the Jaguars, right? Sometimes teams get up against the Patriots and then they get scared and they stop playing their game and stop being aggressive. And Belichick is going to come out with some trick plays of his own. So you got to stay aggressive, and they did that.
He did. And speaking of trick plays, man, for Philly to run that quarterback play right after the Patriots did it and failed, that was gutsy too, man. Yeah, I'm happy for Philly. Won a few bucks. Didn't want to see Brady win again.
Another one, no.
Just tired of that, man. But Brady showed up to play.
He did.
500 yards, man. 5 touchdowns, man. Again, it came down to one play. No, it came down to one defensive play. And shit, Philly's champions, man. That's crazy.
Eagles.
They've never won a Super Bowl, man.
I know. But there were so many different elements of this game to talk about, from what happened with Malcolm Butler not playing the game, the assistant coaches, the offensive, defensive coaches of the Patriots supposed to be leaving, right? And then not going to the Colts.
Let's start with Butler, man. What is that about, man?
I don't know. A lot of people were saying, was this Belichick's ego getting the best of him, right? Because if you were not going to play him, why not just send him home? Or why not say what he did? It just seems like real secretive and kind of a typical Belichick shady, maybe not shady move.
I guess the part I don't get is he played 98% of the snaps.
All season long.
And then you wait for the Super Bowl.
Right.
Unless he did something that week of the Super Bowl that is just not coming out for whatever reason, I don't understand this. And I don't think he could have done something that wouldn't have come out in this day and age. So I'm a bit confused.
Right. And if it was that big, why have him at the game, right? If he broke some type of team rule, or it was a disciplinary thing, why even have him at the game, right? If he's at the game, why wouldn't you play him? This is obviously one of your better defensive players, and he doesn't play at all in the Super Bowl.
Doesn't make sense, man. But again, Belichick has made strange moves before. But I say the only difference is most of those times it's been, letting go of a player in the off season, trading a player in the beginning of the season. This was arguably the biggest game of the year, and I just don't understand it, man. Moving on from Butler to Josh McDaniels. Wow, man. Well, it's a couple of things. I mean, what he did, no matter what the reason, there's no way that was a good look for him.
No.
But did you think at this point, I was reading something, the GM of the Colts released a statement that Josh McDaniels was going to be the next coach of the Colts. And true, him and Josh had spoken. They had set up a date for him to fly out to do the news conference. But there was no contract signed, man. There was no name on ink.
Right.
On paper rather. And I don't know, man. I don't know if I release a statement stating that even on a word,
Right.
which should be word is
It should-
bond,
Yes,
but
if
with
there's no
nothing
contract.
being signed, I don't
Right.
know if I
Right.
think the GM has to take a little bit of blame. Very little.
Yes,
Very, very
yeah.
little. I'm not taking
I
up
think
for
who really
McDaniels.
suffers are all the assistant coaches who would come in because he was going to be there.
And that's
now
what's crazy. They're signed.
They're
They
signed,
signed their
right.
contracts.
Right.
So now it's like the culture saying whoever they hire is the
Has
next
to have
coach.
those assistant coaches.
This this is a mess, man,
is.
and he really has the Colts in a bad situation, man.
The rivalry is back.
Can he get another job? Can he get is another franchise gonna?
Josh McDaniels?
Yeah. Can Josh McDaniels get another head coaching job
gonna say
offer
yes.
that's not the Patriots?
I'm going to say yes. If he continues to have success, say, it's not a crazy situation. The Patriots coming back and winning the Super Bowl next year, right? Say he does that, there's going to be somebody who will take him if they get his signature.
Is the reason he didn't take the job because he has assurances that he's going to take over for Belichick?
That could be, I think Belichick is looking for a change, or him or Robert Kraft. And Brady's time is numbered.
Is it?
So,
Guy's
he can't
40.
play
He's doing it. He's doing things that no one even has
know.
done before.
I know. But you could tell, like, him missing that reception. It's little things like that. I mean, he's not.
He can't catch.
He
That's
can't
all.
catch.
He's not an athlete. He looked like
He's just a quarterback.
he looked like he was about to trip over his own feet out
I
there,
know.
man. And he jumped like way too early. He probably didn't even have to jump. He
No.
should have just kept running. I don't know, man. I say Josh McDaniels will never get a head coaching job if it's
Except
not the
not the
Patriots.
Patriots?
I think he's done, man. What he
I
did
think
was
sports
that.
is forgiven.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to follow and see what happens, man. Let's stick with the Patriots. Can they come back next year and represent the AFC in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they can. You can't count them out. It's competitive. They may not make it back, but they have a good chance out of anybody in the AFC.
I would agree. How can you say not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville was supposed to be the hot up-and-coming #1 defense. They took care of them. There's always Pittsburgh. Of course, every year there'll be some other teams
somebody's
that,
gonna come from out
the Jets, the Jets might be coming to win that division next year, man. You heard it here first, baby. So.
Right.
But
The Raiders.
you're right. The Patriots have it as good a chance as anybody out the
Right.
AFC.
And you never know what kind of moves Belichick is going to make in the offseason, right? He always comes up with that. He used to be like how the Raiders used to be. They used to take the guys who were maybe late in their career, kind of wore out their welcome with their current team, maybe were a little disgruntled, and he would just take them and they'd play their ass off for him for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and that good influx and mixture of veterans like that with some
rookies and
young
players.
developing players, and that's the model.
Right.
That's the model that works.
The other thing is, Gronk is now hinting at retiring, right?
Indeed, I forgot about that. Yeah,
that's big news.
yeah, and it makes sense, man. The guy gets beat up, man.
He's
The
beat up.
guy's body, takes a punishment.
I mean,
He misses a lot of games.
he's got that back injury.
When he's healthy, he's unstoppable.
He's a beast.
He's won a couple of rings already. He's got money, and he's talking about going to Hollywood.
yeah.
And Gronk would be great in Hollywood.
I think he would.
I don't mean he's going to win an Oscar or anything.
No, but he'd be a great character actor. Like I could
Yeah.
see him being a goofball in a movie, or like a bodyguard or something.
There's definitely a niche for him in Hollywood.
Or he
And
could just be Gronk.
yeah, absolutely. And the rumor is not only he didn't just start thinking about this after the
Right.
Super Bowl.
This
He's
was
been
even
talking about
before.
this, right? So that's something to
Yeah,
consider.
you know that
as well.
wear and tear is brutal, and like we were saying, all those injuries he's had. They say he can't even straighten his elbow out. He wears that big brace.
Right.
So when he gets up in the morning, he's feeling all those nicks and bruises.
And he's a relatively young guy still,
like
right?
28.
So So, enough about the Patriots. Let's talk about the Eagles. Obviously, man, hey, Carson Wentz went down. Carson Wentz obviously was having an MVP. I mean, if he doesn't get injured, I think he runs away with the MVP award.
Right.
It would have been between him and Brady, but I think he would have won it. So Foles comes in and shaky the first couple of games in the regular season, those last two games, and then Foles has three great playoff games.
Right.
Honestly, he played 3 great playoff games.
Right. And you know, it's crazy that in the Super Bowl he threw for what 300,
high 300,
70 whatever yards, and Brady still beat him by 100, 50 yards. But they couldn't stop them. They were going up and down the field, and his throws were accurate. He was putting them in the right places.
Doug Peterson called a great game
right.
too, man.
Right.
You know,
like,
again, Foles did his job, but the play calling was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's my thing with Foles, man. I have some friends down in Philly, and we get in an argument. This one person in particular about Nick Foles. Nick Foles had a great all-time season under Chip Kelly back in 2013 or 14.
Right.
Other than that, and these 3-4 games at the end of the regular season and the playoff run, Nick Foles' career has been horrible, man.
Right.
So I guess my point is I can't take anything from him. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He was MVP of the game. But to act like now Nick Foles is all of a sudden a top elite, top 10 quarterback, and some team needs to aggressively send a second-round pick to Philly
right.
to pry him away,
yeah,
I think is a mistake, man.
Right.
I think it's a mistake.
And I think it's easy for a quarterback to come out and have a brief 4 or 5 game success, a period of success, because I think the longer you're playing, the more these defensive coordinators have time to study your habits. So you see, like, Dak Prescott, for instance, great rookie year. And then this year, I mean, you don't know what the loss of Ezekiel Elliott did, but definitely not the same quarterback, right? We'll see what happens when Deshaun Watson comes in and has a portfolio of games under his belt.
Right.
Because over time, if you have some tendencies, that's when I think you see, the great quarterbacks like Brady or Drew Brees, who could always deliver, even when you know what they're going to do.
Right. And that comes with time. So even for the young quarterbacks, Nick Foles has been in the league 6, 7, 8 years, man. We have a track record of Nick Foles. So I'm just saying, buyer beware if some team now thinks based upon this.
He's going to change the future. Right. Because he could be a system quarterback, too. And it won't work unless, this could have been the right offensive coordinator for his skills that he's never really had before. We don't know because he hasn't. That's all he has is 5, 6 games.
Or he could be what most backup quarterbacks are. They're very good backup quarterbacks, and when they got he got his shot, he was prepared.
Up. Right.
So, be interested.
And in the quarterback world, we got Jimmy GQ Garoppolo.
Wow.
Getting what, $127.5 million deal.
$90 million guaranteed over the next 3 years. So essentially, for the next 3 years, he's averaging $30 million a year. He's become the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
Crazy. He started 7 games. Now, he's won all 7, but he started 7 games.
Is he worth more than every other quarterback?
Obviously, he's not worth more, but again, when you're San Francisco, when you're in the middle of a rebuild, when you think you have found your guy, why not go ahead and lock him up? Obviously, you think he's your guy. If he's your guy, then you lock him up.
Right.
If not, then you have a Kirk Cousins situation.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and that just set the bar now for Kirk Cousins and his contract.
Teams are going to, I mean, we knew his contract was going to be in the $25 million range, but now arguably, and that's what's crazy. Jets, don't go after Kirk Cousins, man. Please, I'm telling you. We don't need him. Decent quarterback. He's not a $30 million a year quarterback.
So what do you think the Jets should do? Should they try and pick somebody in the draft, or?
I think they should stay at the number 6 pick and see what falls to them. You don't know how that's going to shake out. And if one of those rookie quarterbacks is still around at 6, go ahead and draft one. But I also want them to, like, why not bring Josh McCown back for a 1-year deal, you know, to tutor or groom whoever's there? You know, I don't think their plan should just be do anything, trade half the draft to move up
Right.
to get one of these guys and then
Who's
think that
unproven that he's
you're going to
gonna be-
just start him
Right.
from day one.
Yeah.
I don't mind them drafting
Especially
a
as a rookie.
quarterback if one falls to them, but I still think they should sign like a Josh McCown to come back.
Do you take Saquon Barkley if he's available?
Absolutely. If
Yeah.
he's at 6 and
Right.
we're at 6, because if Barkley's at 6, that means all the quarterbacks are
Are
gone.
gone anyway.
So right, yeah, I would have no problem with that. The
Yeah,
Jets
take-
need playmakers, man.
Right.
You know, I have no problem with that. I would love for that scenario to happen, honestly. They say this quarterback class is kind of deep, so why not take a Saquon Barkley, sign Josh McCown, and then draft a
Draft
quarterback
somebody
in the
later.
second round?
Right.
We have 2 second-round picks this year.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of ways we can go. I don't want us to break up. We're going to have a bunch of cap space, but you sign Kirk Cousins the $30 million contract,
That takes all the.
so
Right.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because free agency happens before the draft. So it's like,
Yeah, they may lock themselves out.
we'll see. Moving on to the NBA, man, yesterday, trade
Ooh.
deadline.
Wow. That
All
was
of a sudden,
blockbuster.
like my phone just started getting alerts from ESPN, from NBA.com. Then I started texting people, man, the Cavs,
Cleared house.
wow.
Yeah.
Hey, it wasn't working.
It wasn't. And it didn't look like it was going to get any better.
It didn't. And with that said, I still said that they were going to represent the East
And
coming out the playoffs. Even before they made these moves, I thought that. Now, after these moves, I absolutely think Cleveland is going to come out the East. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they traded for, you know, top-level elite all-star guys. But they got younger, more athletic. They got shooters to
people who can play some
surround
defense.
to surround
Right.
LeBron and guys that can play defense, man. And I think LeBron is going to be, you know, rejuvenated. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the rest of the season. I think the only big shock, and not really a shock based on the production and how things have gone this year, but Isaiah Thomas is gone, man.
Wow.
Just like that. He was the key piece to me. Obviously, that Brooklyn Nets pick was big, but for them to have been able to get that pick and Isaiah Thomas, everyone thought that Kyrie trade was like, hey, yeah, they lost Kyrie, but
Right, that guy.
wow, man.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the kid, too.
I know. He went through a lot last season with, you know, losing his sister, and then the injury, and now, I mean, at 29, almost 30, that could be close to being it for him.
Let me ask you a question. How many games do you think Isaiah Thomas played with Cleveland this year?
I'd say 15, 20.
He played 15 games.
Right.
That's it, 15 games. And my point with asking that question is he was out 7 months and he's only played 15 games. So I am not sitting here to say that Isaiah Thomas was playing great and Cleveland made a mistake in getting
Right.
rid of him. But what I will say is you need about 25, 30 games to really get an idea where this guy is. And I just don't think Cleveland got a chance to see the real Isaiah Thomas.
And I
This
think
guy
part of
is
it, too-
legitimately a top
he
5
is.
MVP player last
Scorer,
year.
Right.
His decline in production is solely, in my opinion, related to the injury and that he's not all the way back yet.
Right.
So,
He may need more time. And I think part of it, too, is that I think Cleveland just wanted to make a shift. They kept hearing that, you know, they were slow, couldn't play defense, were not athletic, and maybe they just felt that Isaiah didn't fit into that, you know, the future they were trying to paint. So
I also think there's some feeling amongst some of the old heads on the Cavs that Isaiah Thomas was speaking kind of his mind and kind of speaking, for the team and
Right.
and making a lot of statements that maybe he hasn't earned the right to say
say
based
yet.
upon how long he's been with Cleveland.
But who's that coming from? Is that coming from LeBron? Right? Is
Well, who
LeBron
knows?
the de facto leader?
Who knows?
Right.
That who knows?
And maybe that's part of the problem that Kyrie had with him, right? Is that when you're on the team, it's almost like he's a de facto spokesperson, and it has to be cleared through him or something.
I could see it coming from more from those other guys who, not a LeBron type of guy, but maybe they're LeBron's guys, but they're guys that are role players, but they've been on the team longer. But I think IT felt he can talk like that based upon his game in this league, his stature, his level of game. He's a baller, man, and he's proven
and if I
that.
ask him the question, what is he going to say? I can't. I don't want to talk about
Right.
that.
No, I give him credit for speaking his mind, but I think all of those were factors. Again, I just don't think 15 games was enough to make the determination on whether the Isaiah Thomas experiment failed in Cleveland. But
So how do you think he fits in with the Lakers, right? He's going to be probably backing up Lonzo Ball.
I don't think you can make him a backup to Lonzo Ball. If anything, why can't you play them together? Lonzo at the 1 and Isaiah Thomas at the 2. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how IT is gonna handle being relegated to a backup to Lonzo Ball. Right now, this is a problem they don't have to worry about because I think Ball's still a couple of games from coming back, but how that all plays out is going to be fascinating to watch. And what happens for his future? He's an unrestricted free agent this year. He's not all the way back. He had a horrible start of the year with Cleveland. Now he goes to the Lakers.
And if he doesn't get enough run, then he can't.
This guy would look like he might get, a max deal. This guy might get like a 1-year prove me deal or a multi-year deal way, way below what anyone thought.
He commanded.
That's crazy how quick
changes so fast.
How quick that changes, man. Staying in the NBA, man. Damn, the Knicks.
Ooh.
KP goes down.
Rest of the season.
After slamming on the Greek Freak. He slammed on him and came down on his ankle.
Torn ACL.
He's done until, the rest of the season. And
probably.
Like around this time next year.
Yeah.
Around the All-Star break next year. And then, how's he going to be?
Right.
Tough blow, man. Tough blow for the Knicks. This sets the Knicks back like 2-3 more years easily. Unfortunate, man. KP was balling this year too. He was starting to show signs. Still had some ways to go.
Of him and Cantor, and then what's my man?
Hardaway Jr. Courtney Lee's been balling this year too. Yeah. I mean, the Knicks, they weren't world beaters, but they were clearly a better team than they were last year. They had some good pieces. Yeah. So
coming together.
Too bad, man.
Big blow for New York.
Hope that kid comes back better than ever, but still, the Knicks, damn. It's been a long time, man. So hang in there, Knicks fans. March 2nd and
raining like crazy outside.
Rain, wind, and snow.
Umbrella getting blown all around. Hey, but we're in here. We're nice and warm in Brick. Just hanging out.
This winter sucked, man.
Yeah, it did. All in all, I can't complain, though. Earlier in the week, it was 60 degrees in February.
Yeah, that's true. But that's my point. Like, it wasn't a real winter.
Oh, yeah. From that end.
It wasn't a real winter.
Yeah, winter's over. Once we get to March, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Days are getting longer.
Starting
Spring
to see
is
that
around
sun.
the corner. Yeah.
Next Saturday, man, is the clock change.
Oh, nice.
Word.
You know what that means? When it's light at 7, you can go out drinking.
No doubt.
So, what we got on the list? We got a lot of stuff to talk about. NBA, football draft, blah, blah, blah. But, let's get started with the NBA.
Once again, man, Golden State and Houston at the top of the West, man. And Houston won't lose, man. I think they're on their second, their second 14-game streak. in a season, man. And they're actually percentage points ahead of Golden State for the 1 seed right now. Is that going to change, number one? Will Golden State catch them? No matter if Golden State is the 1 seed or if Houston is the 2 seed, who's coming out the West? Two-part question.
Yeah. I'm still going to put my money on Golden State just because I think when it comes to the playoffs, they have the depth. I think that's when their bench really makes a big difference. And I'm not sure if Golden State is as motivated in the regular season. Like, they've been to the playoffs how many times in a row? 3?
More than that.
4?
They've been to the finals 3 years in a row.
Right.
But they've probably been to the playoffs like 4 or 5 years in a row.
So, I just think at this point they're just pacing themselves. I don't know if they're trying to kill themselves. I'm sure they would like to have the home field advantage. But I just think that they can turn it up in the playoffs. They still got a lot of pieces. I mean, they still have the whole team together. So it's going to be interesting. But Houston they won't go away. I mean, they just keep coming, and Harden is balling.
Yeah, I mean, Harden's MVP to me, no doubt about that. I don't know. I think Golden State's coming out the West no matter what. I'm trying to decide, do I think Golden State is going to catch Houston for the 1 seed? That I'm not sure about. But if I had to bet, I actually think Golden State will get the 1 seed. But no matter what, to me, Golden State's coming out the West.
Right.
I'm not taking anything from Houston and Harden, man. They're balling. You can't take anything away from them. The only thing I will say is, man, when you look at Harden's playoff record, man, when it's counted in money
fades a little bit.
Last year,
right,
Game 7 against San Antonio, he had an awful game, man. I don't know if he would run out of gas from all the minutes. This year, it's a different team. You have Chris Paul. And again, man, you're talking about 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers, but both these guys' playoff records, man, is not that impressive, man.
Right.
So
I mean,
I just think when it's money time, it's going to be very interesting to see if Houston, specifically Harden and Chris Paul, are ready to go to levels that they've never been at, man.
Yeah.
So.
And we know between Curry and Durant, like in the playoffs, they step up. And then I think the X factor is always Iguodala. Like, during the regular season, he may not be a big factor, but when you need that defensive stopper, that person who could come off the bench and get you, 10, 12 points and rebounds, he comes up big. And then, you still got the other role players, David West, Klay Thompson. Only one of those people have to heat up. Livingston,
haven't even mentioned Draymond.
Yeah. So
yeah, they're loaded, man.
They're loaded, right?
Houston's loaded too, but it's a different loaded to me with Golden State. But I will say this: I'm intrigued as hell to see a Houston Golden State Western Finals matchup.
Right.
I'm very intrigued. So we'll see what happens.